What I'm about to share may completely change how you think about heart health. At every appointment, your doctor carefully measures your blood pressure, scrutinizes your cholesterol, and reassures you that everything looks normal. But there's a critical number most physicians never look at, one that may be quietly damaging your arteries as we speak. When this marker is elevated, your risk of a heart attack doesn't rise slightly. It skyrockets up to 4 times higher. And yet, it's rarely checked. I'm Dr. Maria Lee. After more than 20 years in cardiology, I've seen this same story repeat itself far too often. Patients come in with textbook blood pressure, excellent cholesterol, and no symptoms at all. Then, without warning, a catastrophic stroke or a life-altering heart attack strikes. When we later review their blood tests, the evidence is right there. A missed warning. A number that signaled danger months before the event ever happened. That number reflects inflammation inside your arteries. And inflammation, not cholesterol alone, is the true silent killer. It destabilizes plaque, weakens arterial walls, and sets the stage for sudden clot formation. It's the difference between a stable condition and a medical emergency. Drug companies are well aware of this. The scientific data has been clear for years. Yet most clinicians still don't order this test routinely. And even when they do, many aren't sure how to interpret or act on it. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what this marker is, why it predicts heart attacks more accurately than cholesterol alone, and most importantly, what steps to take if your level is dangerously high. This is not speculation. This is potentially life-saving information. Let me tell you about James. James was 68, a retired accountant who took his health seriously. His blood pressure was ideal, 118/74. His cholesterol numbers were excellent. Total cholesterol 180, LDL 95, HDL 55. Year after year, his doctor told him everything looked great. James believed he was safe. One morning, while getting dressed, he felt an odd sensation in his head. When he tried to stand, his right side collapsed. His arm went limp. His speech became slurred. It was a massive stroke. James survived, but he permanently lost function in his right arm, and his speech remains impaired to this day. Here's the tragic part. 3 months before that stroke, James had routine blood tests. Hidden in the results was a marker called C-reactive protein, or CRP. His level was 8.2. The lab flagged it as high, but it was dismissed, likely from a recent infection, his doctor said. James wasn't sick. He felt perfectly fine. That CRP level wasn't incidental. It was a warning that severe inflammation was damaging his arteries from the inside. Medicine has known about CRP for decades. Studies going back to the 1990s made this clear. When CRP is elevated in someone who isn't ill, it signals vascular inflammation. The inner lining of the arteries becomes unstable, and unstable arteries form clots. Clots cause strokes. Clots cause heart attacks. James' CRP of 8.2 was shouting this warning months in advance, but no one listened. CRP is produced by the liver in response to inflammation anywhere in the body. It rises with infections and injuries, yes. But when it stays high and you feel well, that inflammation is coming from your blood vessels themselves. And vascular inflammation is the strongest predictor we have for cardiovascular events, stronger than cholesterol, blood pressure, or even family history. People with CRP above 3 have double the heart attack risk of those below 1. Above 5, the risk triples. Above 8, like James, the risk is 4 times higher. At that level, arteries are inflamed, unstable, and dangerously close to rupture. Yet most doctors still don't test for it. Now consider Margaret. She was 71 when she heard me speak about CRP at a health seminar. The following week, she asked her physician to check it. He hesitated. CRP wasn't a routine test, he said. Why bother? Her result came back at 6.8, very high. Again, it was brushed off as probably nothing. Margaret felt fine, but she trusted her instincts and came to see me. Her blood pressure was perfect. Her cholesterol was perfect. But her CRP told a very different story. Her arteries were under attack. This is what many doctors misunderstand. CRP is called nonspecific, so they ignore it. But in older adults who aren't sick, a persistently elevated CRP is extremely specific. It points directly to chronic arterial inflammation, and it demands immediate action. A major study known as the Jupiter trial followed 18,000 people with normal cholesterol, but elevated CRP. Those treated with statins had 44% fewer heart attacks and strokes, not because cholesterol changed dramatically, but because inflammation was reduced. That study was published in 2008. Yet here we are, years later, and CRP is still overlooked. We treated Margaret aggressively, an anti-inflammatory diet, eliminating sugar and refined carbs, increasing omega-3 intake, adding targeted supplements, and starting a statin for its anti-inflammatory effects. 3 months later, her CRP dropped from 6.8 to 1.9. Her stroke risk fell dramatically. And finally, there's Robert. His CRP was 9.4, dangerously high. He carried excess weight, especially around the abdomen. That visceral fat wasn't harmless. It actively released inflammatory chemicals called cytokines, driving CRP production even higher. His diet, rich in refined carbohydrates and sugar, kept his blood sugar spiking throughout the day. Each spike triggered another wave of inflammation. Day after day, this is how silent inflammation builds. And this is why CRP matters. Year after year, the inflammation continued to smolder. And because Robert lived a largely sedentary life, his body had no natural way to clear it. Movement is one of the strongest anti-inflammatory tools we have, and he wasn't using it at all. So we changed everything. Completely. We removed refined carbohydrates, nearly eliminated sugar, flooded his diet with vegetables and healthy fats, had him walking 45 minutes every single day, added strength training twice a week. The results were dramatic. In 6 months, Robert lost 32 pounds. His CRP fell from 9.4 to 2.1, a 78% reduction. His risk of a heart attack dropped off a cliff. Now let me introduce Patricia, because her case highlights a cause of inflammation that most people never even think about. Patricia was 76. She was thin, not overweight at all. She ate well and exercised regularly. Yet her CRP was 7.3. Something didn't add up. So I asked about her sleep. Terrible, she said. I wake up constantly, maybe 5 hours total. I'm exhausted all the time. Her husband interrupted. She snores loudly, he said. And sometimes she just stops breathing. It scares me. That was the answer. Sleep apnea. When breathing stops during sleep, oxygen levels drop sharply. The body goes into crisis mode. Stress hormones surge. Inflammation skyrockets. And this doesn't happen once, it happens dozens of times an hour every night. That's chronic inflammation silently damaging your arteries while you sleep. We tested Patricia. She had severe obstructive sleep apnea, 47 breathing interruptions per hour. We started CPAP therapy to keep her airway open. 3 months later, her CRP fell from 7.3 to 1.6. No diet changes. No new medications. Just treating her sleep. Now let me tell you about Helen, because this cause is incredibly common and almost always ignored. Helen was 69. Her CRP was 8.9. She wasn't overweight. She didn't have sleep apnea. Her diet was reasonable. I asked about her dental health. My gums bleed every time I brush, she said. They have for years. That's periodontal disease. And it's a powerful driver of systemic inflammation. When gums are chronically infected, bacteria enter the bloodstream every time you chew or brush your teeth. The immune system reacts. Inflammation spreads throughout the body and directly damages the arteries. Research shows that people with advanced gum disease have 2 to 3 times the risk of heart attack compared to those with healthy gums. We sent Helen to a periodontist. She underwent deep cleaning, received antibiotics, and improved her oral hygiene. 3 months later, her CRP dropped from 8.9 to 2.4. Her stroke risk plummeted simply by treating her gums. Now let me tell you about Thomas, because he asked the most important question of all. If my CRP is high, he said, what actually lowers it? Thomas was 74. His CRP was 7.1. We addressed everything: weight loss, diet changes, regular exercise, sleep optimization, dental treatment. 6 months later, his CRP was down to 3.2. Much better, but still not ideal. Still above the danger threshold. So we added medication. A statin. Not because his cholesterol was high, it wasn't. But because statins are potent anti-inflammatory drugs. Most people think statins only lower cholesterol. That's a misunderstanding. Their most powerful effect is inflammation reduction. Studies show statins lower CRP by 25 to 50%, completely independent of cholesterol levels. We started Thomas on a low dose of rosuvastatin. 3 months later, his CRP was 1.1. Optimal. His arteries were finally protected. But hear this clearly. Medication alone will not fix a high CRP. You must address the root causes: belly fat, poor diet, physical inactivity, sleep apnea, gum disease. Medication supports the process, but lifestyle changes are non-negotiable. Without them, you're putting bandages on a problem that keeps worsening underneath. Now let me tell you about Susan, because her story shows what's possible when everything is done right. Susan was 72. She heard me speak about CRP and asked her doctor to test it. Her result came back at 8.7, extremely high. It was dismissed as probably an infection. Susan wasn't sick. She didn't wait. She came to see me. We did a full evaluation. She was overweight. Her diet was heavy in sugar and refined carbohydrates. She rarely exercised. She had undiagnosed sleep apnea. Her gums bled when she brushed. Every major driver of inflammation was present. We built a comprehensive plan. Removed refined carbs. Cut sugar almost entirely. Increased vegetables, fish, and healthy fats. Started daily hour-long walks. Added strength training 3 times a week. Treated her sleep apnea. Addressed her dental disease. Added omega-3s and curcumin. Started a low-dose statin. It was a lot. It meant changing habits she'd had for decades. But Susan was motivated. She had seen what stroke did to her sister. 3 months later, her CRP dropped to 4.1. Better, but not enough. 6 months later, it was 2.3. At 9 months, it reached 1.4. Optimal. Susan lost 43 pounds. She looked different. She felt different. She had more energy than she'd had in 20 years. Most importantly, her arteries were protected. Her inflammation was under control. Her risk of stroke and heart attack had dropped by 75%. So here's exactly what you need to do. First, get your CRP tested. Ask specifically for high-sensitivity CRP, HS-CRP. This test detects low levels accurately. Don't let anyone tell you it's unnecessary. This number can save your life. Second, understand your result. The low one is optimal. 1 to 3 is moderate risk. Above 3 is high risk. Above 5 is very high risk. Above 8 is extreme danger. If you're above 3, you need to act. If you're above 5, you need aggressive intervention. Third, remove the causes. Lose excess belly fat. That fat constantly produces inflammatory chemicals. Eliminate refined carbohydrates and sugar. Increase omega-3s from fish. Eat more vegetables rich in natural anti-inflammatory compounds. Fourth, address sleep. If you snore or feel exhausted despite sleeping, get tested for sleep apnea. Treating it can dramatically lower CRP. Check your gums. Bleeding gums are not normal, and they're a major inflammation source. Fifth, move your body. Walk at least 30 minutes every day. Add strength training if you can. Exercise is one of the most powerful natural anti-inflammatory therapies available. Sixth, consider supplements. Omega-3 fish oil, 2 to 3 grams daily. Curcumin with black pepper extract for absorption. Both are strongly supported by research. Seventh, talk to your doctor about medication if lifestyle changes aren't enough. Statins reduce inflammation even when cholesterol is normal. They are not just cholesterol drugs, they are anti-inflammatory drugs. Finally, recheck your CRP in 3 months. Confirm that what you're doing is working. Adjust as needed. Continue monitoring every 3 to 6 months until you're consistently below 2. Your CRP level right now may be the difference between living well and suffering a stroke like James, between protecting your arteries or allowing silent inflammation to destroy them. Don't let anyone tell you CRP doesn't matter. Never allow an elevated result to be brushed off as probably just an infection when you aren't sick. Don't accept that answer. Ask for the test. Get the number. And if it's high, take action immediately to bring it down. This is not optional. This is not theoretical. This is about life and death. CRP predicts heart attacks and strokes more accurately than cholesterol, more accurately than blood pressure. It is the single most powerful cardiovascular risk marker we have. And yet most people have never even heard of it, simply because it isn't being checked routinely. That changes today for you. If this video revealed something your doctor hasn't been testing, share it. Send it to everyone you know over the age of 60. Information like this saves lives. Subscribe to this channel because my mission is to give you the tests, the numbers, and the knowledge that actually determine your cardiovascular future, not just the ones everyone talks about. Thank you for watching. Take care of your health. And I'll see you in the next video, where we continue uncovering the truths about staying healthy that most doctors simply don't have time to explain.